Alright, big small business and we booming. Yeah, big small business and we booming.
Thank you very much.
So ladies, we are at Mommy's at Work panel, and we have 4 beautiful faces that definitely represent that. So here we have JB Robarge, photographer of JB Robarge Productions, right? You've been on a lot. We have Symphony, Swan, so you are educator, storyteller, archivist, all the things you do. And then you're also an interdisciplinary artist, right? So tell us more. And then Haley King, the poet, and you also are an actress, right? You just had your debut in the short film. And then last but not least, we have Lexi Brunson, owner and editor-in-chief of where we are right now, Copyright, but you also are associate professor at MIAD for writing and humanities, also commercial design professor for interior architecture design as well. So Lexi, tell us more about you and your story so far.
Being a multifaceted creative is just like me just showing up in different forms when needed. And so that's how I look at motherhood. So it's just another part of the form I need to show up at. So doing all that work, I use my skills and my superpowers. Everybody has superpowers to get the job done. And so that's what I do. And I just help other people do that work too. And that's what I'm really, really proud of.
She's being real humble right now.
Yes.
So ladies, when we thought about the panel, these were the 4 names that came up. So my first question is, what is the foundation for like the successful balance you have between motherhood and being a career woman? What does that foundation look like?
I'll start. It was really, really important to me when I found out that I was going to have a baby. Mind you, I found out at 6 months pregnant. Yes.
No way.
Yeah, so I found out at 6 months pregnant. I was in my last stretch of my grad program, and it was like, you know what, this is happening. A lot of people say, oh, you gotta, just stop doing. I'm like, no, I have dreams, aspirations, and goals, and I want to show them a whole person. And knowing that I was going to give birth to a human, I wanted that person to see that you should be going after your goals and your dreams, and that you should have a fun life, and that a child is not a stop, it's just a piece of that. And so I try to make sure that I show her who I am as a human, and that I show her the robustness of being a human, right? So all the feels, showing goals, aspirations, showing what hard work looks like, trying to show what rest looks like, showing how to emotionally regulate, having a life, right?
I knew when I had my first baby that I was a single mom. I knew I was going to be doing it by myself. And one of the first things that I decided was that they were going to be village babies. Because I knew that if I was going to continue on with my career and do all the things that I was already doing, the babies just couldn't rely on me. And so I remember vividly, this is probably unheard of now in the post-COVID world, but 3 weeks out the womb, I was like, hold her. Hold her. Because I need her to be able to smell other people and not just be searching for me. Well, when my oldest was younger, I would wrap that baby on my back and be out here slanging art prints, doing art shows, doing whatever. And people would know, oh, you're gonna go Symphony and Marley. That was just what it is. And then when I found out I was pregnant at 6 or 7 months with my son, I was like, holy cow, how am I going to adjust my life now for 2 babies? It was no different. It was like, all right, put the baby on my back, she in a stroller, and we just going to keep it going. And that set the foundation. So before you even go, I learned that balance is, it's a trick. I don't think you ever really can balance all of the things. It's really about creating a harmony. You know how you said
work-life balance.
It's a scam.
Yeah.
It's a scam. And so that's the first thing. I had to let go of thinking that I could balance all of these things. It's only 2 hands. And there's no way I could balance career, family, friends, kids. It's just too much. So I'm gonna make a harmony. I'm gonna give you 10%. I'm gonna give you 50 this week. I just have to be okay with understanding that my capacity will shift depending.
Mine was absolutely the waking up and knowing that I'm not the only person I have to be concerned. Right? That was the biggest shift for me. There is a person that no matter if I'm sick, I'm tired, any of that they're depending on me, right? And so it changes how I navigate the world, right?
It's like, I always tell people, like, when you have a kid, it's kind of like all of a sudden you look up and that hole that you kind of had in your body has just like gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And I think it's through like loving them in this way that like you're loving your little self.
Very candid about mothers. Because back in the day, like, you know, mothers, of course they were struggling, they needed help, but it's like, okay, who else is going to do it? I'll do it, but I'm not going to try to show people that I'm struggling. I like how you guys are like authentic and very candid about it. So my next question is, what are some of the sacrifices you make that people don't see, like behind closed doors, to be?
I can't be a significant other.
Okay.
Personally. I just can't do it right now. I don't know how to do that.
It was Swan
And I'm just saying, like, it was very much like, I didn't really know how to do it before I had Soul, and now that I have this extra element, I'm like, oh, I don't know. Let's just not. I don't know, maybe we just shouldn't. Maybe we just hang out when I'm free. I'm free on Mondays. On Mondays,
when I was a newly single mom, one of the things that really like cracked open the level for me was I had just graduated college, so I hadn't really gotten to my big girl job yet. And I was in a sorority, so I do recognize the privilege in being able to have access to these women who were like degreed and had, you know, whatever. But I remember one of my sorority sisters had just had a baby before me and was like, I kept everything. So if you want all her clothes, all her shoes, all like come pick it up in the garage. So like literally I had enough clothes for Marley for like the first year and a half. Where if I needed to buy things, it was because I just wanted to, because I was given everything. And that cracked open the shell for me as a new mom, like being able to have all of this stuff. And so I've made it a mission to keep all of my kids' stuff as they've grown, so that I can bless another mom. And so
I want everyone to know.
Yeah, that acceptance is super. Like to be able to accept that. Oh my God, not do it. Just you cannot. You have to be able to accept sometimes it's something small. Even if the help is a smile, honey, you gotta take it.
I can't tell you how many times I would be in public and the kids would make a noise and crying, and that anxiety of the new mom, you flare up like, oh my God, they loud, people looking at me. I had to let that shit go too.
Yeah.
I'm like, if anybody has ever raised children, they know what this stage is.
Yes, and I'm not in control of
And we are.
No.
Yeah.
No. It's not funny.
That's why I think that like this whole pretending, like, some, like, I feel like Instagram is like doing like this terrible disservice that like it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because it's like doing this thing where it's like, this is doable, you can have a business, you could be a mom, you can make bento boxes for your kids every day. But like it's really not showing you could do this, but this is what that looks like. It does look like you waking up at 5 a.m. It does look like you going to bed at 12. It does look like crying. It does I feel like me, like having people around me that I see like actively being mamas, actively running businesses, actively having, you know, different things going on outside of that. Like me seeing their ugly side is like so inspiring to me, because I'm like, oh, but they're still, you know, I can still walk through this door and go shoot a video in that room. I can still go do a podcast in there. I can have a panel right here, no matter what Lexi is going through, because no matter what, like, even though she's having this ugly moment, she's still going to show up and have this space working and moving in a way that I can use it.
But I think too, for me, the half is literally asking for help.
Yes.
Like, I'm telling you, you know, there are moments where I'm like, okay, all 4 of my kids got a field trip in the same week. I can't make it to all of them. What the A Village auntie? Can you make it to any one of these field trips? Because my kids are still going to be happy that someone was there with them. And so I asked for help. Or my husband had surgery and he was down. I'm not going to handle all 4 of these babies by myself. Can y'all help do a meal training for a week so that like one big thing is off my plate? I had so much food that I had to stop telling people. They don't bring me nothing else.
Restaurant full.
And so when people say you make it look easy, it's because I know how to delegate.
Period.
Motherhood is delegation.
And I'm still working on that delegation.
Yeah, I was going to teach me that.
I'm working on the delegation, but I am starting to say they can be accepted, right? When it's like, oh, you want me? Yes. You want us to take that too? Yes. Yes.
I got 3 girls. So I'm like, who doing their hair to me?
Literally.
I think it's also important to acknowledge too, like, women haven't been able to do
like, I think I just read recently, 1984 is when women could get business loans without their husbands. That was not that long ago.
Our grandmothers.
And just because it's a law doesn't mean we're not facing hard times still getting them, even though we can. So I think 1984, like, that's not that long ago. So to think about our parents and then their parents and what women's roles were 2 generations ago, like those people.
They have a bank account.
Without them
Like, I
living.
actually am going to be homeless for real.